Johnny Fontana, real world INFJ Scorpio, back with another video. Today we're going to do a reaction discussion assessment of Rich Cooper and his discussion with an alpha female, right? Just to sort of give you an overarching idea of what is to come. She is basically a physician, female, obviously, but she is having issues with regards to keeping men, right? And so we're gonna listen to the discussion points brought to the table by Rich and her counterpoints, both providing counterpoints. And I'm going to provide my assessment. And again, it's not to undermine Rich, it's not to undermine anyone, because we don't do that here, right? But it's about the assessment, right? And seeing, okay, what is there that some folks aren't seeing, right? That especially us as the intuitive feelers can identify, right? Playing that game that we call the dance, right? The NF dance, all right? Let's go. Let's get into it.
She's back. Let's see if we can get her on. Do you have a mic?
Yes, I do.
Beautiful.
I was a little shy. I actually listened to your show. I'm not here to disagree at all because I do agree with you with a lot of points. But what I meant to say is, when I said alpha, I meant by the female's profession, because let me give you an example, Rich. I went to a speed dating event, and there was one gentleman I really liked. He started to ask me about what do I do and so on. So I'm currently applying for the medical residency. Well, his face changed. I tried to be very agreeable, very nice. I saw he was very interested. And he looked my way and looked my way all night. So when I came home, I did the match. He never matched me. And so this isn't the first time it's happened. And I noticed that I tend to attract more beta than alpha. And I don't understand because I do get compliments.
That's because opposites attract. What do you do for a living? You're in the medical field?
Yes, physician.
Okay, and how old are you?
34.
Okay, so you make decent money. And where do you live? In a big city, I'm assuming?
No, suburban.
Can you tell me where? Or region? I know you want to be like...
All right off the bat, intuitive feelers, right? I know I bring that up, but it's essential because, again, it's a INF, intuitive Scorpio channel. That's one thing that I'm good at, right? I am good at picking up accents. So here I'm in Turkey, right? I'm living in Turkey now for work. And throughout my, even being here, I've been fascinated by the different accents that I'm hearing. And I'm like, I'm hearing Japanese. I'm hearing Russian. I'm hearing Slavic.
So what language do you think this is?
Alışkanlık olarak önce bir onu suda bir karıştırıyorum. Bir paket. Toz şekerimiz olacaktı.
So we can start with guesses of which part of the world you think it might be from.
Middle Eastern, maybe? No. I take that back. Like Eastern Europe.
Like a Slavic language?
It's a European language.
That's definitely a European language.
Yeah,
Kind of
sound
like
like a bit of French mixed in there.
So I'm hearing like Arabic and I'm hearing French.
Partly in Europe.
yeah.
In Europe?
I think I just gave it away.
Russia?
What other countries that
Turkey. Turkish?
That's correct.
This is Turkish?
What,
Really?
actually?
It's Turkish.
Oh my god, Turkey. Yeah, it's Turkish. It's way Turkish.
What the fuck?
And lo and behold, because of where we're located, there's a lot of influence, right? Between Russia, between China, between the Slavic countries and all that stuff. And the further up north you go, in Istanbul, is different than that of the southern part of Turkey, near Mersin, or even Izmir. And so you sort of get to appreciate and understand like the different elements, right? So that's, for me, I'm pretty good at that. So in the States, I can tell, hey, that person is from California, but you probably have been exposed to family members, maybe your family, who are from the Northeast. Actually, I grew up in California, but my father, he's from New York, because I picked it up. Or I can actually pinpoint those who are from, let's say, New Jersey. Like, you're from Southern Jersey. Oh, you sound like you're from maybe the Northeast, maybe like Connecticut, not necessarily New York. Or even if New York, you're going to be more like Northern New York, maybe like upstate New York. Or I can tell people who are from the Bronx, who are from the Queens, who are from Bronx, right? Because I'm from New York originally. So I can pick up and be like, how do you know that? Because that's our, again, ability to listen and register and recall. It's just an innate ability that we have. So right then and there, again, it's just to say that right off the bat, I'm hearing the call, like, you know, what she says, call. I'm like, all right, it's got to be Northeast somewhere. It's got to be Northeast somewhere, because, and guess what? She sounds Italian, right? Or maybe she may be Italian, or have a little bit of Polish in her, or even in Greek, right? So again, when you have that mixture, there is a personality that comes with that. There's a spicy personality that comes with being, you know, Italian, from the Northeast, right? Let's do a clip one, go.
All right, hang in there. I gotta go.
Are you kidding me?
It's an emergency. What do you want from me, huh?
Well, what do you think? I'm some fucking whore?
Just calm down.
Now, you think you're just gonna come over here and fuck me?
You know what? I don't got time for this shit.
Oh, now you're gonna leave, you low-life piece of shit? You know what? Here, take your fucking dinner! I fucking hate you!
You see what I'm saying to you? So again, me being from New York, New Jersey, I've been exposed to that. And that's why I say, as an intuitive feeler, it helps when you are exposed to so many different elements, because you can register and be like, okay, this is what's going on. All right, let's continue.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, okay.
Now, she says Pennsylvania, but she didn't say where. I guarantee she's probably from Philly.
Okay, let's get to what provoked me to making this video, which is that I understand in the Philly accent that the O spelled words become an ah, and the A spelled words can become aw. So, however, when I was listening to Chris Matthews, I was hearing sometimes the O spelled words become aw, but not all of them. Which ones were which? Well, it seemed like an individual case-by-case basis.
Boston, often, boss, cross, on, broad, along, office, belong, thought, off.
Or around about of like the suburbs of Philly.
I have gotten, you know, compliments that I'm feminine and all of these things. And,
Well, I mean, you sound feminine on the air, you know, with the vocal tone, you know, tonality. You're very soft. You know, you're definitely feminine sounding, but you're rubbing the guys the wrong way if they're not. Like, the thing about women that women fail to understand in today's modern world, a lot of women that, you know, watch my stuff, is men don't view women, like, we don't care about your degrees. We don't care about what you do for a living.
All right. Yes, that's true to that extent, okay? And I'm not saying he's totally wrong there, because, you know, especially, well, it depends, okay? Nowadays, it's a little different, because folks can't even pay their bills because of the economy and how things are, right? So you're looking for a support factor, right? Someone who's not going to just sit there and not work, all right? We're not talking about people who are we're talking about the average individual, right? But again, when you just listen to these folks who are part of this elite, you know, community of, like, you know, alpha male and red pill, whatever, they always charge the whole 10%, 1% making $1 million, whatever. But going back to my point though, he's filtering through all of that, right? Not really identifying, and again, the dance. What did we talk about before? Talked about in my last video, the dance, the theme, which is the theme across this video and other videos.
Look, let me put it this way. In a given interaction, there are an infinite number of actions and reactions that can unfold, right? Within that infinite range, however, generalizations can be made and patterns can be found. And in order to discover these things, you got to have the largest data set that you possibly can. The larger your data set, the more accurate your observations are going to be. How our brains work heuristically is when faced with a situation, a novel situation, your brain will scan the entire data set that comprises your memory and everything you've ever experienced, and it will, from that information, cobble together what it feels is the best possible result, the best possible course of action, right? So, put another way, massive repetition of social interaction is the only way to cultivate a noticeably improved level of social intelligence. You want to have that biggest data set that you possibly can to draw from. And so again, let me say it again. Massive repetition of social interaction is the only way to cultivate a noticeably improved level of social intelligence.
When you start to associate, you have to realize, okay, who am I dealing with? And you start to make connections. And then you start to sort of create that basis for the discussion and make room for things to come. You starting off with that, which may be true to a certain extent, depending on who you are, depending on what situation. You leading with that, you're not creating the baseline of like, okay, where are you from? What's your background? You know, what's your character like? Like, you need to get into that, because that's going to paint a picture and tell you, okay, who this person is and what that person is dealing with, or who that person is dealing with. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, so it's morning prayer time. Sorry for the loudspeaker. But yeah, so you have to understand that going forward. So if you are not tracking, you know, like I said, folks from the Northeast anyone who says, yo, I'm from the Northeast, you know, they have just, everyone's quick, so being from that space already, it's like, you're going to have to deal with that person on that level. And not every man is going to want to deal with that.
Fuck it!
Who knew all this time you wanted Tracy and Hepburn? Well, Tony, what about the 1,000 other fucking pigs you had your dick in over the years? The strippers, the cocktail waitresses. Were you best friends with all of them, too? You fucking hypocrite.
Which, again, going back to what he says, is that, you know, it's your energy and all that. But he has to provide a basis. So, again, it's the dance of like, yes, you're correct, but you're getting to that point, but you're not leading up to it. You're not saying, hey, listen, at the end of the day, you sound Italian. You sound like you're from Philly. Like, you understand that you, generally speaking, again, we generalize, is what it is. People from the Northeast tend to be a little bit spicy, right? So, are you deliberately meeting, or are you going after folks who you may think may be able to meet your energy level, or are you just going out with anyone? Are you able to discern or to decipher, or to be able to, when you're at these speed datings, right? Are you able to say, pick up on some, like, again, because it's not only for the male, but it's also for the female, the dance. Being able to say, is it, am I just going to just go into it and then expect things to fall in place? Or do I have some precognition understanding of, hey, as soon as I start speaking, probably this is what's going to happen based on A to Z and so forth, right? So again, he's not doing that. He's just going straight to it, which again, I'm not saying he's incorrect, but it's that dance that it's missing, right? The element.
Men look at women as beauty objects, and that pisses women off still. They don't want to be viewed as a sex object or a beauty
it does
object.
not upset me. It doesn't upset me.
You see?
I understand.
Are you a feminine woman though?
I don't know. I do consider I do consider that, yes. I can have both traits.
He's
but
been
I
wrapped up in this whole feminine,
can
masculine thing
If
that
that's what he likes, then sure, you know. I went out with a guy for a couple of weeks. He said, I really likes the way I dress. So I went to the store to buy more feminine things.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to me for 3 days. And I don't like that type of stuff.
You don't like being ghosted for 3 days. Why?
Well, I'm a consistent person. I'm reliable. I've been told that it's very easy to communicate with me, and I expect the same.
See, but that's a demanding trait. Like, I expect you to, when I do this, and you get back to me within this certain time frame, right?
again, you see what I'm saying to you? Like, there's this frame, like I'm gonna hold the frame, like you can't expect. But again, I'm playing the dance. I know where this comes from because again, there is a time and place for it, right? For you to be like, hey, don't expect me to call you every day. Like, I'm not gonna call you every day. That's one of the things that I've said in the past, right? Don't expect, for me to call you every day. My wife, all right, we've been together for how long? She knows, hey, I'm not gonna call you every day. Like, it is what it is. My mother gets upset at me. Every time she calls me, she's like, how come you didn't call? Because I just don't call. I'm a Scorpio. Scorpios know that. We just don't call people. We wait for you to call. And then we have to sit on the phone for the first 5 minutes of you chastising us because we didn't call you. That's the way it is. But again, this Rich Cooper is with this whole maintained frame. You have this expectation and all that. You know how many times I've had relationships, again, with different cultural, like Cubans, the more ethnic women, right? Especially from the Northeast. Guess what? A text, hi, how you doing? What's up? Hello. On a daily basis. There's no like long talks, but the first couple days, you set that, right? And you call and you talk, right? And then they may go for like another day, especially when that person's interested. When two people are interested, you'll call each other. And then you'll, hey, good night, how you doing? What's up? Everything all right? And then you'll have a call and you'll have like a conversation maybe on the third day. But that long conversation will satisfy, right, for a couple of days, so you don't have to have a drawn out conversation the next 2 or 3 days. Okay, ghosting is basically you having no communication at all, but just say, hey, what's up, good morning, sexy, whatever, like that. To him, it's like, oh, you're not maintaining your frame and all that stuff. Trust me, like you can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. You can hold your frame. You can tell, hey, I'm going to text you. Don't expect me to call you every day. I'll text you, right? I said, if I text you, that's me showing you that I'm interested. Don't expect for me to call you. You see how I just came at you? I'm a little bit passionate. I'm a little bit, that energy right there. What did I just say? What did I just tell you? I said that I call you. I will text you, right? But don't expect me to call you every single day. And people don't understand. Obviously, I'm not going to say that way. But again, that's that dance, right? The dance.
I love you.
You got the wrong fucking number. Don't call here again.
I'll wait out there. Who was that, your little Russian girlfriend?
Listen, it's over between us. It has been for a very long time.
Bullshit. Why does your clothes still stink of perfume?
Okay, I saw her, but it's not what you think. She tried to commit suicide.
Oh, fuck you.
I broke it off with her and she tried to kill herself because she said she didn't want to go on without me. The poor kid.
You are putting me in a position where I'm feeling sorry for a whore who fucks you? You know what's even stranger? For a second, I believed you.
And this whole frame, that's what people are learning. People are picking up on this energy and they're running with that. And that's why it's like this whole this, you got to maintain frame, you got to do this, you got to do that, and there's no dance.
But you're not in a position to do that, right?
But if you like a woman, listen, if I like a man, I text every day. I don't bombard. But
No, I understand that, but I mean, you're saying you want a strong, virtuous alpha male, and the last thing a strong, virtuous alpha male wants is some chick telling him, if you don't get back to me within a reasonable period of time, then...
Okay, but that's not what she's saying. Again, because he has that frame of mind. Yes, there are some females who expect that. And that's when the guy, because this happened to me, right? Where I didn't call for a couple. Hey, where you been? Where you been? Hey, listen. When I call you, we speak for a long time. We talk about everything under the earth, right, or within the earth, under the sun, right? I express my feelings. I tell you, I divulge information that I wouldn't have, told a stranger, but I told you, right? And then you feel comfortable with me, right? Okay, so I want you to trust me that I'm just not the kind of person to call you every day or to text or whatever. That's just not who I am. But again, it's being able to have that dance, being able to communicate that, not just expect that, oh, well, she did it, so I'm going to just, because I can't. Again, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, having those uncomfortable discussions, being able to say, hey, babe, it's not going to happen, right? And you're not losing anything because you're not, and if that person freaks out and be like, oh, well, I can't deal with you, then that's that person's problem. But for you to have a meaningful relationship and say, hey, listen, I get it, you may be whatever, but I'm telling you right now that I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm going to be present with you, but I'm just not going to call you every day. Can you respect that? And that's the way it is. But this whole idea of like,
insert whatever, right? Like I'm not interested or I have expectations. It's like guys that are on a purpose, guys that are strong, virtuous alpha males are going to text you or message you when they want it. And at the end of the day, if they don't message you, it's because they're not interested. It's because they have a better option. Something else came up. Maybe another girl is more interesting, to them. How tall are you?
I am 5'5". I am 128 pounds. I consider, I consider myself, of course, I'm not a supermodel. I'm realistic. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll go in the cam, but I'm too shy.
Okay. Well, look, the entire world's watching right now. Like they want to know what you look like. The live, the chat's going to be like, well, what does she look like, sort of thing. But I get that you want the privacy, but I'm already hearing like things that I don't like as a guy when it comes to these dynamics, because when you're using terms like alpha female, it's almost always connected to a woman that's bossy, disagreeable, arrogant.
Again, he makes a point. Again, it's the nuance that he's missing. Because yes, right now it's the a la mode to be like, hey, alpha female and this, like boss B, boss lady, like I'm independent. Like that's the thing right now. Like that's what's happening. So people are attaching themselves to that. And yes, it can be, to a man, it can just be like, I don't want to deal with that because I don't want to deal with that. As soon as you start wearing your credentials on your sleeves and all that stuff, even just on a social level, like, listen, like I can see through that. I don't want to deal with that, right? And I've been known to have a lot of bad energies towards people who are like that, who are like the alpha female, who are very aggressive, and we just don't mix. It's like vinegar and oil, or vinegar and water, or whatever you want to call it. And it just doesn't mix. Like to a point, if you get too much, I will blow up on you. I will black out on you, right? Not physically, but verbally, right? And you know how Scorpios, we can be very stunning. And I will, listen, bring it down, right? And it's not because I'm trying to be chauvinist or present myself as more masculine. No, it's just, if you are a dude and you are a little too heady, a little too TI, and you come at me, you know, with the whole straightforward, and you know, you just want to be a little bit too, hey dude, hey, bring it down a notch, like calm down, right? Don't come at me with this whole, you know, TI, you know, headstrong and be very so direct. Just calm down. So again, we have to respect his frame of mind because that's what we do. But again, he's coming from this perspective and he's been in this space for so long that he doesn't understand. And it's just, especially when you're dealing with people in the Northeast, let's say you have like, I don't know if you've ever seen like people, you know, in New York or like two, let's say Caribbeans, how they get with each other. Caribbeans, right? Because my family's from Haiti, we go at each other like this, right? Like I'm gonna say something to you, a woman's gonna say something to me, like we're gonna get at each other. Like we're gonna just, these personalities are very, 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 very strong. So there's gonna be a lot of times where you hear a lot of yelling and screaming because we're just so passionate as individuals. It doesn't matter if you're a female or a male, we're just so passionate. So there's gonna be a lot of times where I'm doing something wrong and my wife, well, she's Russian, so rather than that, right, she'll be like, she's getting at me. But then there'll be times when I'm like, all right, yo, like, right? Matter of fact, clip, is it 2 or 3? Go.
He talked to you all, poor you.
He made me feel like I mattered.
You know, you asked me the other day what Irene's cousin has that you don't have. And I thought about it because it's a pretty good fucking question. And yeah, she's sexy enough, even with the one pin gone, but that's not it. I could converse with her because she had something to say.
I am here. I have things to say.
Besides, bring the fucking chairs down and did you sign the living trust? She's a grown fucking woman who's been kicked around, and she's been on her own, and she's had to fight and struggle.
Unlike me, is that it? Who the fuck wanted it like this? Who the fuck pissed and moaned at just the idea of me with the fucking real estate license?
Free to sit back for 20 fucking years and fiddle with the air conditioning and fucking bitch and complain and fucking bitch to me, to your priest.
You see what I'm saying to you? So like, that's why like the dance, man, is important.
Demanding, like if a guy likes you, trust me, if a guy likes you, he will contact you. If a guy digs your vibe, maybe not every day.
True. Okay.
Maybe every other day, maybe every third day. But if he's contacting you, if he's inviting you to go out, inviting you to do things, showing you off to his friends' events, you know, he's using you as arm candy. He obviously likes, if he's, you know, if he wants to be intimate with you, if he makes advances on you, right? Making, you know, setting like guidelines, like if I don't get a text back within 2 or 3 days and that doesn't meet my expectations and that's not good enough sort of thing.
Well, okay, let's be fair now. Let's be fair. Because how many guys, when you go on Reddit, when you go on forums, hey, I just met her, I text her, and like it takes her, you know, 2 days to get me back. Guys are notorious for being like freaking out when like there's someone who they really like and they text somebody, or even if you're, let's say, you're working a deal, right? Like I'm a DJ and I text a promoter. And we're supposed, he's like, yeah, text me on Monday, you know, or call me on Monday and we can get this deal. Maybe we can get you a gig, whatever. And then I text and I'm like waiting, you know, for the text. And he's like, I haven't seen him, you know, or if it's on what do you call it again? On Messenger. And I haven't seen that he read it or, you know, or seen it or Instagram. You get excited, right? And or one day goes by, what? And you're like, maybe, you know, is he ghosting me? So we get the same, it's the same feeling, right? So let's not be hypocritical about it. And again, I think he's projecting here in that she's not saying that he has to. Obviously, she was just like, okay, in that moment. And again, she can be a person who is demanding, but I think he's projected because he's projecting women who may be like that or who exude employ those kind of character traits onto her. And it may not necessarily be the case. And that's why it's got to be the dance. It's important, man, to just hold off a little bit and don't project until you really start to flesh these things out.
So what, right? Like he's not going to operate on your agenda. You have to remember these alpha males, they're doing shit with their life. They're not going to have somebody like tell them, you know, like you have to kowtow to their schedule or
which he's not asking for anyway.
That's something that women have a hard time getting through their heads and understanding.
Some women, yes,
that
true.
You can't boss these guys around.
Yep.
You have to let them be.
Definitely, you can't boss me around. Like, you gotta let me be. Like, if you start with, oh, you gotta do this, that's it, you're a wrap, you're gone.
And you have to want to compliment, you know, their lives, if you know what I'm saying, right? And that's going to be tough because, look, I mean, my doctor's a female, and she stresses me the fuck out sitting down with her for like 20 minutes because she's always ripping through stuff, and I saw her at the grocery store one time with her husband, and I felt sorry for the guy. Like these professional women, they're not attractive to me whatsoever. And a lot of guys feel the same way. I got a lot of guys in my community. There's hundreds of guys. A lot of them are top shelf men, better looking than me, with more money than me. And they all say virtually the same thing.
Again, just quickly, remember, okay, his perspective. I come from community, 100 guys, many better than looking at me, top shelf, make more money. All right? And this guy, obviously, he clearly makes a whole lot of money, and he's well-versed, right? But again, let's put things into perspective. We're talking about just the average dude, man. The average dude's coming out of college, 22, 23, 24, 25, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, right? That's again.
They don't want to be dragged around or bossed around by, they don't care about your doctorate. They don't care about your degree. It doesn't matter how many of them you have framed in the nicest mahogany in the world. It doesn't matter to them. Is she kind? Is she nice? Is she beautiful? Is she sexy? Is she good in the bedroom? Does she cook? You know, does she compliment my life? That's what guys are looking for.
Okay, listen. In today's day and age, yeah, my wife right now, she's a project manager for a company in Tampa right now. They own about 700 homes, right, between Tampa and Panhandle that they flip. She's a project manager for the Tampa area. She flips and she sells homes, and she works with the contractors, with the male contractors, with the vendors and all that stuff. Yeah, she's in a man's world. There's been times where she's come to me and I'm like, hey, listen, don't do this whole texting thing. You need to talk to them, right? And then things all of a sudden changed because she was like, oh, this guy, he's like, I'm not going to let no woman tell me what to do, because he's from Miami, he's Cuban, right? So I've lived in Miami. I know the Cuban, you know, they don't like women telling them what to do, whatever. And I said, yeah, well, because I know that. I said, don't do the whole texting thing. Call him up, talk to him, let him know, hey, who you are, what's going on, why. And then guess what? After she did that, he was like, yeah, I appreciate you calling me. The relationship changed because, again, I provided her that guidance. But it goes to show that it can be done. And men appreciate that. I appreciate my wife for being who she is. I appreciate for her working in the man's world. But guess what? When she comes home, it's that dance. It came to a point. Again, she's Eastern European. She's from Latvia. She's also part Russian as well. It was a hard time when I first got with her 18, 20 years ago, because she did not, you know, she did not express any kind of emotion or any kind of like feelings, anything like that. No intimacy. She didn't touch me. She wasn't like that. She wasn't like that at all. She was cold. Right, so it took a lot out of me and out of her, right, for us to be able to create this, because that's what I'm used to. My Caribbean, I'm used to the hugs and the kisses and all that stuff, right? So, but it took a long time to develop that, and it took a lot of me being, hey, whatever, right? But even now, it's like I push her because she tells me all the time, listen, I need for you to push me. I need someone who's going to push me. And guess what? I'm pushing her towards so that she can meet her goals, so that she can be the person who she is right now. And she's successful at what she does. You know what I'm saying to you? Sometimes she makes more money in a month than I do. You see what I'm saying to you? And guess what? We have that relationship where we don't talk about like, oh, it's your money, it's my money. Like we don't have that. We don't have those discussions. Again, we've been together for too long. Again, it's my own personal, but I'm saying that it works, right? And then there are ways to go about it, and there's multiple factors, multiple elements that are involved, and it's not just from the point of, oh, you know, men are not going to do this because we need to maintain our frame. Women, you need to do this. We're like, yes, it's all of that is involved, but at the same time, there's the intricacies that are involved, and that comes the dance and being able to know how to deviate, how to navigate, and how to put people in their place, and how to accept a woman putting you in your place. Like sometimes my wife, she puts me in my place when I haven't done something. And guess what? A lot of times when you're in a doghouse, right? She's in a doghouse. I'm like, hey, when it comes to fitness, hey, are you doing what you need to do when it comes to fitness? I've been heavy-handed, you know, not physically, but heavy with that, right? And guess what? Turns up. You know what I'm saying to you? So when it comes to being a physician, you know, of course, a lot of them will express the kind of personality traits that, and I'm not really interested in that. But if you get the right one, right? And if you have the right personality and you have the right tools to be able to navigate that, you got it. You know what I'm saying to you? To put, almost like, I don't want to say put people in their place, but essentially that's what you're doing, right? Like you're just saying, hey, listen, this is your place. This is your role. This is my role. If I get out of hand, you know, you'll get, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still the man. You're still the woman, right?
Well, you know, I understand what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with it, but I like a certain alpha. I feel like the betas just kind of like are moths to me.
Well, the problem is that a lot of women have their expectations tarnished because there's more beta males out there. About 80 to 90% of the population will text you every day. Good morning, beautiful. Good night, sexy. I can't wait to see you. They'll just blow up your phone with all their dumb shit, right? But it's because they have nothing better going on.
Okay. We can talk about 80 to 90% of the men are like that. Like, again, that's that dissonance, right? So it's like, again, being able to hold multiple concepts. You can't be like, oh, well, I'm part of the 1%. My friends are within the community, you know, we do this, whatever. But then at the same time, oh, 89% of the guys are just, you know, betas and they're going to text you every day and all that stuff. So what are you working with? You see what I'm saying to you? Like, again, it's like, it's confusing to people. It's confusing. And guess what? You can text and say, hey, beautiful man, whatever. I've done it, guess what, in the beginning of the relationship. And after that, that stuff goes away. Like right now, I don't text my wife every day. I don't text her hello. I don't do any of that stuff. I'll call her when I need her. Sometimes I'll call her and I haven't spoken to her in 2-3 days and be like, hey, listen, this is what I need. Boom, boom. And then I'll call her on the weekends and we'll have that conversation. Sometimes she'll call me out of the blue. And I'm like, oh, what's up? Why'd you call me for? I just wanted to talk. I'm like, oh, cool. Because we don't do that. I don't send flowers to my wife. She doesn't want that. She's like, don't send flowers to me because we're just not like that. We don't celebrate Valentine's because we're not that kind of a couple. She doesn't want that. She's like, if you started telling me baby and started like, you know, opening the doors and doing all this kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, I would look at you like weird. Like, what are you doing? Because she doesn't come from that. You know what I'm saying to you? And I'm not like that. And she would be like, yeah, I'd be thrown off if you started like going extra, sending me flowers. Yeah, it's nice here and there, but if you do it too much, yeah, I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's going on here? She'd have questions.
And that's why you're not attracted to them. So you're saying that most of the guys you're dealing with are beta males, but when the nice looking virtuous alpha male that you want to be with takes 3 days to get back to you, then that pisses you off because it crosses some boundary that you've set there. Right?
3 days is excessive.
You gotta,
Come on.
Guys like this, you have to enter their frame. You have to be willing to enter their frame.
Well, I understand, but you know, he was telling me he likes to be chivalrous. He likes to be old school. he was contacting me every day, and then he kind of stopped. So I don't understand. If I was honest. I put in the effort. I expressed my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not
How old was
bombarding him. 41.
Okay. And did he have kids? Was he divorced? Was he looking for family? Like, what's his deal?
Never married, no children. I never got to fully know all of his deal. I believe, I presume that there might have been somebody on the side.
I guarantee there was. How many times did you guys go out on dates?
About 5 times.
Look, there's no single women either, sweetheart, right? Like, women are talking to a lot of guys, too. And,
well, listen.
And guys know that.
Again, he's not listening to understand. He's listening to respond. She specifically said, hey, he told me that he's the old school. So when you say I'm old school, it's the same thing with me. I'm very old school. I don't do the whole dating multiple people. I will talk to you, and I'm not going to waste my energy trying to talk to multiple people. And if you're talking to a lot of people, I don't want to be part of that, because I am not part of no bachelorette or bachelor party or bachelor show, whatever. I don't want that. So if I'm talking to you, it has to be from a place of like, hey, it's me and you until we decide that we're no longer going to talk to each other. It's not exclusive, but I'm not going to go around and disrespect you and then give other people my energy. I'm not going to do that. But again, he's not listening to her, and he's just going, okay, yeah, he probably had someone on the side. He's guaranteed. Again, from that alpha, frame of mind, keeping my stance, and this is how it's going to be, and that 1% because we have an abundance mindset.
When I like somebody, I cut it out. So I understand your.
So I mean, like a 41-year-old, successful guy can date down to early 20s up to his age if he wants, right?
You see what I'm saying? Like, now he's regurgitating the talking points of the successful man. Like, who's to say that the guy is successful? The guy just went on a freaking speed date. He could be a logistics planner. He could be an engineer. Okay, engineers don't all make $100,000. Some of them are making $65,000, depending on where they are, depending on their position within the workforce, depending on if they have just gotten into the GS market, right? Or if they're a contractor and they're at step 1 or step 2, right? They could be making, or let's say they're making 100, but they're living in DC, and their money is not going as far as if they were making 100 living in Florida with all the taxes, right? So, I mean, let's be reasonable here.
And if he's got great things going on in his world, and he's successful, and he has options, like, you're kind of a hard sell versus a younger, hotter model. If you know what I'm saying.
Well, I'm going to say this, Rich. Later on, I found out that he was with a woman, and she was a lot heavier than me.
Maybe he likes fat chicks.
So a lot heavier than me, and I don't know what she did for a living, but I'm certain he was not a physician.
I know, but you're still putting merit on the whole physician thing. Guys don't care about that. The only guys that care about your job and your level of income and your level of success and your degrees are the dorks, the beta males that you don't want, because these guys think, well, I'm an engineer, she's a physician. If we get married, we can combine our lives, and we can now buy a 4,000 square foot house and have 2 cars.
It's not only the dorks, all right? It's actually the smart, intelligent men who are making 70, 80,000, 90,000. We're like, hey, listen, my wife, guess what? She's making 70, 80, 90, but guess what? Because of the fact that she has the skills and she knows the know-how to flip, guess what? We flip houses and we generate cash flow based on the homes that we own and we sell and we rent out, right? And then I keep my money, she keeps her money, and we also have another account by where we can, a joint account where we can pay certain bills together. Yeah, people who are just average folks are going to try to come together as a unit and move forward for, guess what, for generational wealth between the family. That's what we do. And you talk about the reason why marriage had begun was because of the whole history behind, resources and all that good stuff. So guess what? It's like the same thing happening now. You can do the same thing now, right? In order to provide resources or generate wealth, income for your families, for both sides of the family. But let me go back to her again. He caught her with that whole, she wasn't a physician. Again, wearing your credentials on your sleeves. And guess what? Okay, we're playing the dance now. That could have been a point of contention for him because he probably smelt it. He was like, hey, you're coming on too strong. You got this whole alpha thing and you are wearing your credentials on your sleeves. And guess what? That's one of the problems that I had living in DC. DC, when you talk to people, this doesn't matter intimate or whatever, just in a social setting, people wear their credentials on their sleeves. And even online, on the forums, people will be like, hey, I got this degree, I can't find a date. Like, you're automatically wearing your credentials on your sleeves. And that's what women have a hard time now. They have a hard time understanding how to, again, but it's the conversation that we're having, right? You're having a hard time being able to relate to certain men, even though they may be successful, they may be on your level, they may sense that initial energy, but because you don't know how to dance, right? You're just throwing these people off and be like, I'm good. Your breath stinks, so I'm going to dance with somebody else who may not be as flashy, but she's got, a better mindset, and she doesn't throw her appeal too much, and she's not trying to dissect and to have all these intellectually high drifting concept discussions. Whereas I'm just talking to someone who's just more down to earth. Again, see how I was on Rich before, and now I'm shifting towards her, but it's the conversation. The conversation is evolving. And again, it's the dance, right? So again, I'm able to provide that feedback to you, not to say that you're out of the game. I'm just saying, hey, here's the feedback. Are you going to now accept this feedback? And if you are, guess what? We'll move on.
And we'll share everything, right? But that's not usually how it ends up going down, for you. You just don't have interest in guys like that. It should look like you're at the women in your sphere of life, and I don't know what you look like, and that's a big part of it, right? So this is difficult for me to deal with. But the 36-year-old professional alpha females looking for the alpha male always have a hard time understanding that they have to enter his frame, complement his life, and get through their heads that they are a beauty object to the guy.
Again, what he's saying is not wrong. Again, like I said, I prefaced before, he's not wrong, but he has to properly lead up to it. He has to bake the cake. He has to put the ingredients and then bake. Right now he's baking, which is great. Okay? But before, he needs to provide the context, provide the perspective, and that's what a lot of people don't do, which when I talked to before, when it comes to the blunt up front, just go at it. Forget about your overarching big picture, right? It's fill in the details, right? I don't want to. So again, a lot of people, you have to explain, you have to give them the big picture and understand, okay, what's going on? Give them the varying components, explain the nuances, and then after you get all your ingredients in there, and then you bake the cake. And right, that's what we talk about, the dance and that delivery. A lot of folks don't know how to do that. So again, if he wants to help her, he has to be able to get down, you know, like I said before, into the lower levels of like, okay, where you living at? You're in Philly? You're in the suburbs of Philly because you have like a strong accent? Yeah, you know what? A lot of guys who are in Philly, they have a sort of way about them, right? Some of them are more just down to earth. They're not looking for that high intellectual stuff, right? The Italians are not looking for the physician types or whatever. They more want like, okay, like as opposed to like DC, right? Where it's like DC people don't know how to shut it off. Again, we're going back to social understanding, right? People, they don't know how to shut it off. When they go to the clubs, or they go to the sports bars with their bow ties and their suits and their ties and all that stuff, and they don't really know how to shut it off. Whereas when you go back to like places like Philly or even New York, right? Guys who work in like stock market, whatever, they come back home, right? And they're listening to rap, they're listening to like, you know, Chief Keef and all that stuff. And you're like, whoa, like how do you go from, you know, working on Wall Street and then wearing this and looking like that by day, but then in the afternoon, at night, you're looking totally different. Like I just totally two different people. Again, because of that dynamic. DC they are very monocultural. They don't have that dynamic. Whereas in New York, Philly, there's a lot of dynamic, right? So you can be very intellectual, right? But at the same time, by night, you're a freaking DJ. You'd be like, whoa, like that's crazy. Same in California, it happens a lot. So again, understanding that aspect is very important. So him being able to deliver that aspect would be more beneficial to her than that of the whole frame and this and that, which is true, but he has to again bake the cake. Provide the ingredients before baking that cake.
They're not looking at you as let's be equals. Let's do stuff like that. And you know, as far as the dude and as far as the girl that he chose over you, the heavier one. What else is there to the story? I mean, if a guy picks a heavier girl over a thinner, fitter girl, if that's me, and I mean, like you guys in the comments tell me right now, there's something wrong with you. Because I would never pick a heavier girl over an attractive, fit girl.
Again, the whole idea of being so deliberate, right? And his articulation, right? Being so just blunt, absolute, which is the word that I'm looking for. Being extremely absolute. Like, again, if you know guys who are in the inner cities, all right, a lot of them like, and again, we don't know what her definition is of heavy set, right? So I know for a fact that a lot of folks, especially in the urban core of like Philly, New York, whatever, are attracted to the fit. When I say fit, I'm talking about like the voluptuous, the plump, right? Females who are thick, right? And they're all in the right places. So again, she may be the thinner type, and she's seeing this other person as thick and heavy. But guess what? She may have breasts, or she may have curves that she's not observing, she's not seeing from a man's perspective. Again, this is the details that he's just absolute. Oh, I wouldn't go for that. Well, guess what? If she has the right curves, and even if she's borderline obese, but she has, let's say she's 250 pounds. Let's just say she's 6'2", 250 pounds, right? But she's solid and she's got curves and she looks good and she's maybe has a pouch, right? I would go for that over a thin woman. That's my preference. Ethnically, culturally, that's where it's at for us. Especially think of Caribbean men, Latin men. We love you know, that. Again, it may not necessarily, but again, you have to put it into perspective. Speed dating. Are we looking for love, or are we looking because we're trying to get our thing? You see what I'm saying to you? Again, these are all the interconnecting components that people are not talking about. So again, if I'm on this speed dating thing, I'm coming because I know that, guess what? She's going to be easier for me to do my thing with. That's just the nature of it. But again,
most guys wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't have an issue getting dates. I'm not trying to be defensive. I think there was some insecurity on his part.
Let's do this. Let's do this. The guys in the chat are finding this a little bit tedious at this point.
Again, all right. So I'm done because he's obviously, and again, he's not working off of the guys and the TDS. Again, these folks, they can't do what I can do. Again, I'm not saying that I'm the best, but what I'm saying to you is that they can't assess and analyze what I'm doing right now. They can't. It's absolutely not. And it's like, now he's going to tell her, yeah, book a session, with him or whatever. And she's not going to book a session with you. If anything, she would book a session with me. Based on all everything that I've told you, she would book a session with me before she booked a session with him. Because guess what? I can relate to her on a cultural level. Because guess what? Social and cultural level, because I understand, because I am from Jersey. I spent time in Philly. I spent time in Pennsylvania. So guess what? I understand, right? I've lived around a lot of Italians. I know the culture. I picked up on the accent. There's probably, there's a lot of, I can tell the Italian, the spaghetti's oozing from her mouth. I mean, and it's not to undermine her, but I'm just, play on words. I can hear it. So I can explain to her exactly, but based on information that she provides me and me doing that dance. Oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about this? What about that? And boom. But he won't be able to do it because he doesn't have that exposure. He doesn't have that experience. That's another one down the tube. Johnny Fontana, Real World, INFJ Scorpio. Glad to be back, and we out.